By now, just about everyone knows what the Monster Hunter formula is. You go on a quest to hunt monsters to craft their equipment to hunt even bigger, more powerful monsters. Despite how simple in concept this may be, the core Monster Hunter gameplay experience remains anything but that. From each monster's resistances and weaknesses, and especially their movesets, being, for the most part, unique from each other, to all the items you can craft, combine and use, and even the weapons, with some requiring hefty practice before you take them on a hunt with you. But what if there was a way to completely break that gameplay cycle? A way to remove any and all challenge, to dumb down core mechanics and still end up being rewarded at the end of the day? Well, it looks like Capcom or the Monster Hunter team has done just that. This is something that has often been said in the community, that the games have become easier, that you don't need to worry about your positioning or preparing before a hunt, and while that may to some extent be true, before we talk about how all of this went down, I want to tell you guys about the newly introduced skill in Sunbreak, Berserk, which you get from the Chaotic Gormagala set. With this skill, once you switch skill swap into the blue scroll, your entire HP bar will turn red and will be slowly drained over time, taking around 90 seconds to fully drain you and actually cart you. That's right, you can actually die from the skill Berserk. That being said, why would you want to use this skill? Well, it's quite simple really. While your HP bar is red, you will take 0 damage from any attacks. Yes, any attacks. Keep in mind that getting hit will make the HP bar drain even faster. This skill isn't overpowered in any means, even though you might have heard that from some YouTubers. After all, Berserk doesn't even directly give you a damage buff. You'll have to use skills like Coalescence and Heroics for that. But it enables a playstyle that I believe shouldn't be possible in Monster Hunter. Combining Berserk with all the counters, iframes and armored moves that we have available at our disposal, on top of taking followers as well as palicos that can support you through buffs and heals, the addition of food skills like Dango Shifter or Dango Recovery, together with armor skills like Bloodright, which will heal you whenever you hit a monster's broken part, will make for some extremely easy hunts where you don't really have to care about proper positioning and you can be as greedy as you want with little to no consequence. At this point, the game really does stop feeling like Monster Hunter and ends up feeling like any other third-person action game. You can abuse this as much as you want, and you can even further boost the effectiveness of Berserk by adding things such as Gourmet Fish together with Power Prolonger, as well as recovery speed, and if that's not enough for you, you can always bring a hunting horn with you that has the health recovery melody on it. To top it all off, Sunbreak's endgame, as I'm sure you are already aware, revolves around hunting afflicted monsters in anomaly investigations. As such, you'll often get Blood Blight, making what is supposed to be the hardest content in the game a lot easier because of all of this healing on top of that extra lifesteal. Power creep has been a thing in Monster Hunter for a long time now. If the weapons and armor we get from the monsters in the new updates aren't as strong or more powerful than the ones we had before, then it makes for unfulfilling and unrewarding progression, which I would argue is the most important aspect of Monster Hunter, second only to combat of course. However, when these new shiny weapons and beautiful armor sets with crazy powerful skills are introduced, we step into the quote-unquote bad side of the power creep. Remember the Draken set from the Final Fantasy XIV collaboration? And what about the Safi'jiiva set or the Fatalis set? What was that all about? Even in Sunbreak we're getting different forms of power creep through the various title updates, with things like the newly added Wind Mantle and Powder Mantle being incredibly effective skills, on top of some feature creep as well with curio crafting and new weapon slot augments. Power creep can be fun, but it can also stifle creativity. And sure, Berserk may not be all that powerful of a skill. And as much as I like to try different playstyles, I don't think that this one is too healthy for the game. We are already at the point where, as a hunter, you can completely destroy most monsters without any issues whatsoever. Wirefall, counters and iframes make for a lot of get out of jail free cards that, inevitably, trivialize the content of the game, and with how powerful our hunters currently are, Capcom or the Monster Hunter team has little to no choice than to simply increase the monster's damage to the point where most attacks one-shot you, unless you properly invest in some defensive skills, of course. And I believe that, in turn, makes for some less interesting hunts. It no longer is a one-on-one encounter between you and the monster where you put your skills to the test. It's more about how long can you keep the monster down to deal as much damage as possible. And that's not as much fun, at least not in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I love Sunbreak, and as crazy, flashy and over the top its combat is, it's also one of my favorites in the entire series, albeit with a few gripes. It's just something that, as a longtime fan of the series, I can't help but look back and see just how much things have changed, and sometimes not in ways I enjoy. I'm not trying to be that old, jaded veteran that thinks that everything that is new is bad. I love Monster Hunter World and Iceborne and even Sunbreak, not as much as Base Rise if I'm honest. I would just like to see things like positioning or preparation matter a bit more in the series. Also, I don't think that Monster Hunter 6 or whatever the next Monster Hunter game may be is going to be as crazy as Rise and Sunbreak, but I am worried about it having mechanics that fundamentally change the way combat works, like Rise's Wirefall or Iceborne's Clutch Claw, or that future title updates affect the game in such a drastic way, centralizing the choice for what's the best armor or weapons and reducing it to simply being the newest ones. But maybe this isn't that big of a deal for some of you guys. I'd like to know how other hunters perceive this, both veterans and newcomers alike. How do you guys feel about this? Let's talk about it in the comment section below, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Dark Hero, and as always, happy hunting.